Recently, the World Health Organization has been pushing the idea of a global pandemic treaty. Critics say the proposal could take away countries' sovereignty, as well as directly impact their economies. The Biden administration proposed the amendments in January. If passed, they would give the WHO's Director General unilateral authority to declare a public health emergency in any nation, based on whatever evidence the director cites, and also power over how countries respond to future pandemics. This comes as the organization's credibility has already faced questions, following its apparent compliance with China's initial cover-up of the COVID-19 outbreak in Wuhan. How are China and the WHO linked? First, let's look to the man currently in the WHO's top seat, the Director General. During his election back in 2017, media outlets reported that Tedros was backed by China. We could not independently confirm this fact, but right after his victory, Tedros told Chinese officials that he would lead the WHO to further cooperate with China, reiterating the organization's adherence to the One China principle. That's the policy that recognized Beijing instead of Taiwan as the sole legal government of China. 50 years ago, Taiwan was expelled from the WHO after the United Nations switched its recognition from Taiwan to the Communist People's Republic of China. The Chinese Communist Party considers the island a breakaway province, hence the One China principle, despite it never having been ruled by the party. Right now, Taiwan is blocked from becoming a WHO member and has also been recently rejected from participating in WHO conferences as observer. It has led to difficulties for Taiwan in combating the pandemic. The World Health Organization has also come under criticism over its response to the first outbreak of the virus in late 2019. As a global health body, the WHO is responsible for alerting member states to major public health emergencies. That's by declaring an event as public health emergency of international concern. But a U.S. congressional report says the WHO failed to do so early on in the pandemic, despite having the information available to make the decision. The report comes from the House Foreign Affairs Committee. It's an investigation into Beijing's cover-up and the WHO's missteps in handling the virus. The report gave some examples. First off, Taiwan. The island warned the WHO about the virus cases in China as early as December 2019. It also alerted the WHO that there were risks of human-to-human transmission. The only response that Taiwan got was that the information had been forwarded to the WHO experts. 2 weeks later, the organization published a statement saying Chinese authorities hadn't found any evidence of human-to-human transmission. That's despite the WHO being obligated to look into such reports and share findings with member states. Taiwan argues the WHO ignored its warnings because of China's influence. China is a member state and a donor, and has repeatedly objected to Taiwan becoming a member. On January 22, 2020, the WHO found evidence of human-to-human transmission, but Director Tedros still decided not to declare it a public health emergency. Instead, he traveled to Beijing 5 days later. While there, he praised the Chinese regime's handling of the virus. Tedros called Beijing's transparency very impressive and beyond words. He also said that Beijing was actually setting a new standard for outbreak response. A week later, the WHO finally made a statement. It declared the virus outbreak as a public health emergency of international concern. The U.S. immediately took action. The next day, Washington put a travel ban in place and restricted travel from China. But Tedros argued the travel ban was unnecessary, saying it would interfere with international travel and trade. At the time, China already saw hundreds of deaths and tens of thousands of infections from the virus. Authorities halted flights to Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak, but millions of Chinese citizens were still traveling abroad. In February, the WHO praised Beijing once again. Despite Beijing's cover-up of the virus, the organization said China was protecting the global community and, quote, creating a stronger first line of defense against international spread. And even though the virus had already been spreading for weeks around the globe, the WHO did not declare it a pandemic until early March. By that point, the virus had already spread to over 100 countries and caused over 120,000 cases.